Okay, so it is my honor to speak about the Prepare project and John's contribution and his strong leadership in this project. So the next, please. So I was able to work closely with John in creating EPSRC funded project back in 2017 and then do initial work from 2016 to 2018. This was the foundational work that John laid out and it has grown now to Safer Prepared project. Briefly, Prepare had two main goals to develop integrated seismic risk assessment tool for East Africa and to co-produce seismic hazard maps and an engineering design guidelines in collaboration with local partners. I emphasize that the second aspect was particularly important for us, and this was the strengths and the success of the project. And we had three specific scientific main objectives, which are shown in the slide. And then the diagram essentially lays out what we initially envisioned to achieve through this project. Next, please. So the Prepare project, because of its interdisciplinary nature, involved various researchers from different disciplines and with different background expertise. The project had various partner organizations, collaborators, and a scientific advisor, which are listed on the slide. At the start of the project, Prepare had two teams. Bristol Structural Engineering team, which was led by John, included George, Adam, Panos, Viviana, and myself. And from the beginning, Raphael also contributed significantly to the project. The Bristol engineering team had created a very unique data set and a model of structural materials from in situ and then also laboratory tests in Malawi in close collaboration with Ignacio and Innocent from Malawi Polytechnic. The Earth science team included Mike, Juliet, Luke, Belhe from Bristol, and Aki and Jack from Cardiff. The Bristol Cardiff Earth Science team has produced a very unique set of geological and geophysical data of Malawi tectonic and seismicity in close collaboration with the Malawi's Department of Geology and then also the Chancellor College. This work has now led to a new version of nationwide seismic hazard map, and that incorporates fault sources in the assessment, which is beyond the current state of the art in East Africa. Next, please. So in summer 2017, John, Panos, Ignacio, Innocent, and myself had our first building survey field work focusing on the cities and towns in southern Malawi. In this trip, we inspected actual buildings in Malawi, examined the quality of material, and then identified the main construction type in terms of walls, roof, and then their connections. Next, please. A very present experience for us was always the welcoming gesture from local Malawi people everywhere we went. When we talked to them about the housing condition and construction practice, we always had a very good experience with local people. The outcome of this trip was very important, and it eventually helped us significantly in shaping our next step in the project. Based on this survey trip, we were able to design our plan for material and structure panel tests by Panos, Viviana, Raphael, and Elia, with generous help always from Ignacio and Innocent. The results from the local tests were crucial in developing structure vulnerability models by Raphael, Viviana, and Nicola, and eventually in carrying out a quantitative risk assessment for Malawi. Next, please. I finish my presentation by sharing one memorable photo we took at Lake Malawi. It was after a long day of a building survey in Salima, and we needed badly a break with cold drinks. The photo of John reminded me of how precious time we had in Malawi. Now I pass my presentation to our important friend and then a collaborator, Ignacio.
Thank you very much, Katsu. Indeed, it was a privilege to work with John. John was a very much down-to-earth person. And I do recall when we were in Salima, we went to a lodge. And in the lodge, there was one big room. And John said, well, for this one, we must decide who takes the big room. And he said, since I look like the oldest person, he said I should take that room. That was how John was, always trying to look at others. In John's case, as you can see in this photo, working with him, doing surveys, we did a lot of work with him, and every time he was so dedicated, looking at what can we do for Malawi and the region as regards these earthquakes. In that regard, he was very instrumental in ensuring that these things are shared with the communities that would eventually benefit, and the fraternity of engineers, architects, who are eventually responsible for ensuring that the results of these researches are taken into practice. In that regard, we had our first workshop here in Malawi in 2018, and we had organized this one through colleagues at the Mast University. At that time, it was led by Dr. Galinde Kafi, who was the dean at the institution then. At that workshop, it was very mind-opening because we had the participants and the presenters from all the East Africa, including Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya. And so with that particular workshop, together with the other colleagues, it was organized that we should visit important sites where particularly students, because at that workshop, it was John's interest that we try to transfer this to the new practitioners. These are students who were coming from Mast, Chancellor College, and Polytechnic. So these were brought there. And we went to Lower Shire where we're looking at the Cholo escarpment. And so these students were able to survey buildings as well as the mountain where there was an escarpment. So it was very mind-opening for all of us, the practitioners, the students. In 2019, it was also felt that we needed to also have another workshop, and this one was held at the Mubasi, here at the Polytechnic in Blantyre. The workshop was very instrumental as well, because at this particular workshop, John felt that it was very important that we look at those people who are actually in the village. So through colleagues from Chancellor College who are looking at humanities side, you were able to organize with them to bring the people from the villages, the chiefs, to be able to see, particularly because it was felt important that we look at the guidelines, the building guidelines for houses at the time. And so they were here, we had a good time with them. And so it was quite important. Let me also mention that in 2018, there was a conference that was organized for East African countries, and this was held in Kenya. And it was very also important because at that workshop, John was very instrumental to ensure that colleagues from the World Bank Malawi office were able to participate. And so in Kenya, we had some round table discussion, but what lead can we do to ensure that these activities do trickle down to the people who make decisions? So a number of resolutions were made at that particular workshop. I will also mention that through John's efforts, we have been able to receive a number of equipment here. Currently, today we are expecting a consignment actually has arrived at Chilega, where we are going to benefit for the lab experiment with Innocent, particularly, who is a new professor. We should be able to carry the Jones legacy, because Jones was very good at ensuring that, as mentioned by Katz, that anything you do, it must be supported by the science. And so with his support also, we're able to look at the documents that we use to design in Malawi, particularly mass-only guidelines. It would be important also to mention that through John's work, we have been able to network. The current work that we are doing, we have been able to look at the community resilience. And as Malawi, because of COVID, our colleagues from Bristol could not come, but it was in his interest that we should work together. But the Malawi team was able to visit each and every district in Malawi. We visited a secondary school and a primary school each district through John's effort. And it was mind-opening that these people whom we met were able to say, well, you have been the first ones to take research to us. And so I would like to say that John was very instrumental, and I would think that it's a great loss, but also I think as we are doing today, it's a celebration that he was able to play his part in community development and world development. I pass on to Viviana for further contributions. Thank you, Viviana.
Thank you, Ignacio. I joined the project in 2018 as a research associate, and I have been actively involved in the structural surveys and experimental work carried out in Malawi. John has been our PI, but for me and for all young researchers who work with him, John was a caring mentor, providing intellectual contribution, gentle guidance, and emotional support. John was a role modeling for us. Every time that there was a new challenge in the project, Johnny liked to arrange meetings with all of us in his office. And I will still remember his office, always full of paperwork. Sometimes it was even difficult to find a space for all of us, but John wanted us to be always together as a team. All the time, these meetings turned into interesting discussion, academic discussion with the new scientific ideas. Here you can see some of the sketches which were drafted during our meeting to plan the different experimental work it is during the surveys. Next, please. John also wants that his younger researchers could take responsibility and ownership of their work, but he was always making sure that we would do the work at high standards. John knew what we could achieve. He encouraged us to do our best, not only for our career, but he wanted us to produce excellent work that could help local communities in Malawi. John had a deep knowledge about how to fight poverty worldwide through sustainable engineering solutions. This because he directly saw with his own eyes the rural life in the local Malawian communities. These are some of the pictures of John taken during the first preliminary survey in 2017. You see John taking some pictures, taking measurements, inspecting houses, and taking notes. The screenshot on the right is a table with data collected from John during the survey. John was always happy and smiling, even when he was working under the sun in a very hot day. Next, please. John also had another extraordinary talent. He was excellent to keep his team together. With his good manner and so gentle way of talking to all of us, he created a real bond in the team. Here you can see some pictures taken during the time when different members of the team were in Malawi during the experimental work. You see on the top Innocent, then you see Panos, the bottom, myself, and then Elia, Ignacio, and Raffaele. Prepare project has been for us a special opportunity to strengthen and create not only partnership, but sincere friendship within the engineering team and the people in Malawi. Next, please. The engineering team along these years has expanded a lot. And here you can see the list of publications we produced in the last years. All single journal paper, conference, report is the result of a joint collaboration and co-production from people who have been working together under John's intellectual direction. Every single work list here is so important for all of us because it helps us to understand the Malawi building typologies, the construction techniques, the hazard and risk level in Malawi. We are so grateful to John, who guided us in this work, which today can be shared with you and offer informed guidance to create safer housing in Malawi. Next, please. This is my last slide, and these are all people who had worked to this project and all further developments that came from Prepare. The entire teams would like to end this speech with a big thanks to John. We will always remember John for his contribution science, his scientific motivation support, his incredible job he did in Malawi, and his special smile. Now I would like to pass the floor to the chair of this webinar, our important friend Ignacio. And once again, thank you so much to all of you.
Thank you, Viviana, for a wonderful presentation and tribute to John, wonderful person.